Okay. What else? What other things have you seen?
Teacher colleges. In Finland, for example, where there's essentially no testing until you're 16, teachers have to get an undergraduate degree in a subject and then 3 years of studying pedagogy. So minimally it's a 6-year degree. And they have tremendous authority at the classroom level to make decisions on how to teach because they're not bound by constant testing. That doesn't come until much, much later. So that frees up those teachers, and they have the highest test scores in the world, as you might know, in many areas of literacy. They also don't keep sending kids to a different school when you get older. You're in the same school from 7 to 16. So we lose kids in transition. From elementary to middle, and then middle to high school, that's a mess. So
there's a whole bunch of things there, some of which are structural issues, some of which are cultural issues. And I'm sure a lot of people, when we talk about these things, they hear things like, but in my case, in my school, it's different. Or my kids require something special that none of those other places internationally are dealing with, and that's why we have the problems we have. So in California, for example, people want to say, but the population in California is different. We've got 50% of non-native English speakers in the state of California who are, and this is not my language, who people will say will drag the system down with them because they have different needs than maybe you'd have to address in these other countries. How would you respond to that, or in comparison to what you've seen so far?
I think kids are kids. Somehow the DNA can't be different between one group of kids on the planet and another. Let's just agree that genetics isn't it. So it's hard for me to accept that argument at all. The only way I can tell you, the only thing I can do about it is every once in a while, I will ask now, you know I go to schools and do workshops, and I will say, can I teach a class? Can I show you what this looks like?
Exactly.
Because I could give the teachers a workshop, but why don't you watch me teach?
Yeah.
And see if the kids.
And it's the most effective way to train.
See if the kids respond.
Yeah.
And so, you're going to think I'm making this up. So I was in a very big city not long ago, do my thing, go in a computer lab and talking to the kids about Web 2.0 in design, pretty high level, and this one kid gets on fire, starts connecting dots, asking questions, really exciting. The period ends, teacher walks me to the elevator to convince me that that kid is not a smart kid and that I should not think that the kid is.
No.
While I'm leaving the class, because that is not that kid's normal behavior, and she doesn't know what happened, but she was apologizing for me misinterpreting that kid's ability. Okay, at that point, you can't even teach a teacher.
Right.
Because she'll say, that was an anomaly of the day.
Sure.
Now I'm stuck, Chris.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do? What do you do next, Chris? What do you do? You show the teacher how to excite the kids. And the teacher says, that is not that kid.
You know, I'm going to sound, it's going to sound rough. You eliminate the teacher.
Well, I left. I just, arguing wouldn't have helped.
No. Well, you can't change the mindset at that point.
So what that says to me is we have teachers, a small minority, who should not be teaching.
Well, I can go a step further even and say...
And we don't have a system in this country for helping those people find another career well.
Or maybe supporting them from the beginning, maybe. It's kind of your point, too, about the difference between Finland and the U.S. But don't you think, too, at the base level, there's a cultural mindset that is even outside of education that pervades us from getting the most out of our schools? And that, I mean, you said it when we started. We've got Americans who are, they're complacent. They've got it good. You don't have to graduate. You don't have to go to 4 years of college. You've got 75% of our population that doesn't graduate from university, right? And they still are leading very good lives compared to the rest of the world, kids. And so there's no urgency at all.
No.
And so they look back at their school experience and go, well, it was good enough for me. Why does it need to change, right? And so the question is, and I may have asked you this before, so here's where the tough questions start to come in, is how do we change that cultural mindset?
Well, you know what the research says, Chris. Until pressure on the outside to change is greater than pressure on the inside to stay the same, you say the same. Well, the pressure on the outside is about to change. We have a global economic crisis, and you want me to wrap up?
Well, their phone just went. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, that's India calling.
Yeah, we do need to wrap up.
This one, yeah.
Until we have a crisis, and I think the loss of Detroit, going bankrupt, might finally be the symbolic crisis that the age of abundance in the United States, of getting the quick and easy job in the industrial economy, is over. And I'm afraid we won't be able to anticipate this crisis until it's worse than it is now. And at that point, resources will be shorter than they are now, and we'll have less wiggle room to change. In fact, unfortunately, a lot of people might even clamp down harder on a very traditional rote education, because it's all they know.
Absolutely.
It's just all they know.
So let's not go totally dark here. There's got to be some hope out there. What are some? Let's give some people maybe an ending way, a way to wrap this up. What's something very positive, a step that you think people could take right now to make sure things are on track in their schools and their communities, and making a difference with the people that they come in contact with every day?
Well, the best hope I have is that we've underestimated what kids can do. I see this almost everywhere I go. Top schools, I see this. And we have more and more teachers who are empowering students to create, perhaps the word is co-create knowledge, to make them own the learning, give them a sense of real responsibility for managing and making a contribution of their own learning. And more of that is collaborative. I know that sounds inconsistent, to be individually responsible yet collaborative, but those two things merge for me. And there are classrooms not far from here where teachers have created these kinds of learning environments where kids won't leave school because they feel a sense of ownership because of these emerging tools. That's incredibly exciting. Unfortunately, I gotta be honest, that is not a systemic wave yet.
It's pockets.
Pockets. The key is, how do you ramp that up and leverage it? I don't know how to do that.
Well,
Except at my summer conference.
This is going out to Australia, so we can collaborate with minds across the world. I mean, that's what it's going to take. It's going to take a lot of us working together to figure that exact question out.
Go Australia.
Go Q. Go California.
Go California, Q.
All right. You've heard of the elevator pitch. This is the escalator pitch. You've got to the top of this to tell me all about the BLC. Ready?
No problem.
Go.
Go, Chris.
So what is the BLC?
The BLC, if you're an American, you come to the Building Learning Communities Conference, by the way, in Boston, very cool place, to meet and talk with teachers around the world who I've met and picked for their incredible innovative practice, and some Americans as well. But if you think you understand what innovation is, and maybe you do, chances are you're going to be impressed with how high can high be. We also bring in kids who tell their stories. It's incredibly social. We have some top-end keynoters like Ben Zander, the director of the Boston Philharmonic, which you probably will never see at another technology conference, on things just like creativity and innovation. So you'll be inspired just by hanging out with all these folks, and you'll have lifelong friends. So it's in Boston.
Sorry.
End of July.
That's the end of our escalator ride. I'm sorry, but it sounds like a great event. I hope you all go.